Joe Schoen just wrapped up his pre-draft presser as he spoke to the media at 1925 Giants Drive. He had a lot to say. He touched on Dexter Lawrence. Pretty much the bulk of the conversation, at least at the beginning, was about him. He talked about potentially trading down in the NFL draft, maybe moving back up into round one. Then he spoke about Jeremiyah Love. We're going to break it all down, but if you're ready for the NFL draft, hit that thumbs up icon right now. Let's start with the Dexter Lawrence conversation. He requested a trade about a week and a half ago, and reports have come out since that maybe he doesn't want to be traded, but he wants a new payday. And Joe Schoen said that he has had good conversations with Dexter Lawrence's team. He mentioned that Don Aponte had been a part of those conversations, as well as John Harbaugh. And he said they have gone well, and he feels as if they are going to be able to potentially get something done. He also said that he would like for Dexter Lawrence to be there. Joe Schoen said that today, and John Harbaugh said that about a week ago when he spoke at the NFL's owner meetings. Also, Joe Schoen spoke at the NFL owners meetings. That interview wasn't broadcasted anywhere, but I felt like not much had changed. Since then, he did say in the last 5 or 6 days, though, they have had some productive conversations. One of the beat reporters asked him, I think it was Ryan Dunleavy, shout out to Dunleavy, who covers the Giants for the New York Post, said essentially, do you want to trade Dexter Lawrence by the NFL draft? If you do draft him, that way that you can get something back in return that could help the 2026 New York Giants. He said, look, I'm not going to put any deadlines on anything. And he talked about how Dexter still has 2 more years left on his contract. And the way that I heard that was like, we're not really all that motivated to get a new deal done with Dex. He made sure to hammer the point home that there were 2 years left. And that felt like to me that, look, we'll play ball, we'll listen to what you want, and maybe we're willing to give you a new deal, but at the end of the day, you're the one that put your pen to the paper and signed your name on that contract that still has 2 years left on it. He also talked about how he was asked, have any teams called the New York Giants about a potential trade? He said, look, I'm always going to pick up the phone, and it is my job and my responsibility as the Giants general manager to pick up the phone when teams call about a trade. And I kind of took that as, yeah, there have been teams calling, and the Giants, while they don't want to trade Dexter Lawrence, they would rather him be a part of this football team and of this organization, and hopefully he gets back to being the player that he once was. They are open to trading him, and he definitely didn't shut down the door of trading him. He could have went out in there and said, look, we're not trading Dexter Lawrence. We have him under contract for 2 years, and we want him to be here. He didn't say that. He went on to say, I'm not going to be as forward as John Harbaugh was a week ago, where he said everybody is tradable, but he said, look, I'm always going to pick up the phone. It's my job to do what's best for the New York Giants. He also was asked, does the Dexter Lawrence trade request impact the way that you approach the NFL draft? He said, no, not really. We're going to go about our business the way we go about our business, and we're not going to have anything really change that. He talked about how we're going to take the best player available, and we want to go about drafting good football players. That was a theme and kind of a catchphrase that he repeated a couple of times, said, myself and John Harbaugh are on the same page, and we laugh about it. Just take good football players. And that kind of backdoors the point of the Giants aren't really motivated to trade Dexter Lawrence. They're not against it, and I believe still if a team were to make a Godfather offer, they would accept that deal. When it comes to the number 5 overall pick, I believe it was Jordan Renan who asked him, saying that there is a kind of a theory and an understanding of this draft that the best players don't necessarily play those premium positions. And they talked about that, how if you draft a running back this year at number 5, he'll slot in as the 11th highest paid back in this class, and in the NFL, And Joe Schoen kind of talked about that, and he made it clear, like, look, we factored all that in. We know what this draft has and what this draft does not have. And he said, we are going to draft the best player available. He talked about how they did that last year when they selected Abdul Carter, number 3 overall, mentioning that we had Kayvon Thibodeau and we had Brian Burns, but Abdul was the best player on the board, and we made that pick, and kind of went back to say that that is what we are going to do again this year. He also said that they've gotten a couple of calls about a team potentially drafting behind them in the order to potentially move up. It didn't really sound like, though, that there was any real juice to potentially trading down for number 5. Now, maybe Joe Schoen is keeping his cards close to the vest, and he doesn't want to say anything that there could be a deal to be done and doesn't want to say anything out there. But he made it clear that if a trade down were to happen on night 1 of the NFL draft, it would come on day 1 of the draft. It's not going to come prior a couple of days before. At this point, there's no reason to make a trade and agree to it, as you'd kind of be pigeonholing yourself into that spot where more teams and other teams could offer better deals. Well, I don't think that a trade down is all that likely because teams haven't really showed an urge to do so. He made it clear that if they do it, it probably won't happen until the NFL draft and when we get there next Thursday. He also made it clear that trading down is a case-by-case basis because just like I have talked about and every other person that covers this team has talked about, only 2 picks inside the top 100 right now for the New York Giants, and talked about Joe Schoen, talked to Joe Schoen at the NFL Combine, and I said, how do you balance trading down because you need more picks compared to doing what's best for the Giants? And he kind of echoed that today. He said, look, it's case-by-case basis. If we're picking at pick 37 and we feel there are still 5 good players on the board that we want, maybe we look to trade down 4 spots. That way we stay in range to select one of those players. He also made it clear that we're not going to trade down if there's a player that we love on the board just so we can get more darts to throw. If there's a player they love that they view lines up with positional need and value and where the pick is, they are going to pick that player, but also said that it is a case-by-case basis when trading down. A reporter asked him about potentially what about trading back in to round 1, and he said, look, that might be difficult. We don't have a 3rd-round pick. You'd have to trade maybe a 4th-round pick or a future pick, and he pretty much said it without saying it, like it's most likely not going to happen. I think it's actually more likely that a trade down from 37 or 105 is on the board than the Giants trading down from number 5, and I would be certainly caught off guard and shocked at this point from everything we have heard, read, and understood. I don't think the Giants are trading back in to round 1 unless they see a player starting to slip that they have extremely high on their board, but I don't see a trade where they go from 37 to pick 27 and get back in to day 1 of the NFL draft. We got to talk about Jeremiyah Love and what Joe Schoen had to say about him. And then I'll give you my best guesses at what the Giants' big board looks like. First, though, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor of today's show, and that is GLD. If you're looking for some men's jewelry, go to GLD.com, use that promo code CHAT, and get 40% off your order. Let's be real. Buying men's jewelry can be a nightmare. Most of the time, it's low-quality junk that would snap after a week, or it was insanely overpriced with ridiculous markups. That's why I rock with GLD. You can too, and get 40% off at GLD.com when you use that promo code CHAT. GLD has completely changed the game in men's jewelry. You're getting quality pieces that are built to last without breaking the bank. And unlike a lot of other companies, GLD only uses real gold. None of that cheap stuff. Every single stone is meticulously hand set. Plus, the proprietary production process makes sure you're getting the highest quality jewelry possible. You can literally see and feel the difference. And I absolutely can. They hooked me up with this awesome chain and this sweet New York Knicks pendant. It's good stuff. It's quality stuff, and it is built to last. You can get your pendant as well as a Giants pendant today at GLD.com while using that promo code CHAT and get yourself 40% off. Listen, don't just take my word for it. Over 2 million customers and 50,000 five-star reviews back it up. Not to mention, it's worn by some of the biggest names out there. Justin Bieber, Micah Parsons, Tyreek Hill, our guy Malik Nabers, ASAP Rocky, and a ton more. The best part, every single piece from GLD is guaranteed for life. Work hard and change the game. For a limited time offer only, new customers get an insane deal. Use code CHAT to get 40% off at GLD.com. That's 40% off with code CHAT at GLD.com. After your purchase, they'll ask who you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh, Joe Schoen specifically, has talked about how you want to be able to play a game on that Thursday prior to getting to the NFL draft. He said that again today. And John Harbaugh made it clear that you don't want to go to the NFL draft hungry, comparing it to going to a buffet hungry. He said we try not to back ourselves into a corner when talking about we have to draft this position because we don't have that position on the board. And that is why I think that they went out and they signed a guy like Lucas Patrick. They also went out and signed Daniel Falele as well. That way they don't feel like they have to go out and draft, a defensive tackle, offensive guard, in round 2. And same potentially with the defensive tackle at round 2 as well. You brought in Shelby Harris on a free agency visit. Maybe something is lined up there. You also look at the Giants bringing in DJ Reader on Monday, and he talked about that as well. The only thing I would say is you don't have a defensive tackle and you don't have a starting guard that I have a whole lot of faith in. And I do think the Giants have backed themselves into a corner because I think they're going to take a guard or a defensive tackle early in this draft. Then Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post got to ask his running back question and said, do you feel as if taking a running back at number 5 would kind of vindicate that you made a mistake with letting Saquon Barkley go? And he said, no, not at all. This roster's in a different place. Went on to say we didn't have a quarterback. Our O-line was different. We didn't have Brian Burns. We didn't have Malik Nabers. We didn't have Abdul Carter and all that stuff. Mainly saying there's a time and a place to pay or draft a running back in a premium spot. And then Jordan Renan followed that up and asked him if he sees Jeremiyah Love as a straight running back or an overall offensive weapon. And Joe Schoen said, look, he's an offensive weapon. He's not just a running back. He can play on third down. You can split him out, and he can catch the ball. So there is that. And I'm not going to be shocked if the Giants do select Jeremiyah Love if he is on the board when the Giants are on the clock at number 5. Joe Schoen was also asked about what are the positions on day 2 of the NFL draft or on day 3 of the NFL draft that you feel have some good depth in this draft class. Talked about the outside linebacker position, the wide receiver position, and the corner position as well. So keep your eyes on those guys. Maybe the Giants can find a gem hidden in the rough when it comes to those positions for Big Blue. What are we, 10 days away, 9 days away at this point from the NFL draft? Not this Thursday, but next Thursday is when it will get started. So I'm putting you on the clock. Who do you think the Giants pick in round 1? Not who you want. Who do you think is going to be the pick? Let me know. We'll close out today's show going over my guesses of what the Giants' big board is going to look like at number 5. And I think they have Jeremiyah Love, number 1, on their board. I just think everything that I've heard, everything I've read, and everything I understood is they don't feel like they're going to be in this position in the future to draft an offensive player like this down the line. They offered Kenneth Walker a contract in free agency. He turned them down. There's clearly a want to upgrade that position. And I think if Jeremiyah Love is on the board at 5, he might be the pick. I think Sonny Styles comes in at number 2 on this big board. And honestly, I feel as if Jeremiyah Love and Sonny Styles have somewhat separated themselves from the rest of the pack when it comes to being the 2 most likely choices for the New York Giants at number 5. I think if you put Joe Schoen on a lie detector test and John Harbaugh on a lie detector test, their number 1 option would be trading down in round 1 and still coming away with Caleb Downs in round 1. Whether it was a trade down with the Saints at number 8 or a trade down with the Chiefs at number 9 or the Bengals at number 10. I think their preferred pathway would be to trade down, pick up another top 100 pick, and then select Caleb Downs. But it takes 2 to tango, and you can't trade down with somebody if they are not willing to trade up. I think Francis Maui-Noah comes in at number 4 on their big board. I still think there is a chance that they could take him at number 5. I'm not ruling that out, and I'm not ruling out Caleb Downs at number 3. These are just my best educated guesses at this point. I don't know. I have not seen their draft board, but connecting dots, talking to people, and just using my brain, I think this is what the top 4 looks like. And then I decided to put Carnell Tate at number 5. It was either him or Mansour Delane. I didn't include guys like David Bailey and Reuben Bain at number 5. I just don't think that those guys are going to be on the highest of boards, maybe when it comes to overall talent for the Giants, but I would be shocked at this point if they take another edge rusher in round 1. I think Delane is in this group. I think Venga Ioane is in this group as well, and maybe another couple guys, but I think one of these 5 players is most likely to be a Giant. I think you could throw in Spencer Fano as well, but I do think that Love and Styles, when it comes to the pick at number 5, have somewhat separated themselves from everybody else, but I still think a trade down where you stay in the top 10, select Caleb Downs, might be the preferred pathway. We're getting closer and closer. Only so many more sleeps until we know who the Giants are going to pick in round 1, and we're going to be breaking it down on this channel. We'll be live for every single pick, and I'll be tweeting and posting about all of them. So give me a follow, and let's go Giants.